Hey everyone, it's Trishna and I just got a brand new fresh out of the box Kindle. It hasn't even been registered yet. And as I was unboxing my Kindle, I was starting to think about my reading and my reading goals. And this year my goal, like in every year before it, my goal was to read one book a month. And it is currently February 15th, so it's only a month and a half into this year. And as I was opening up my Kindle, I was reflecting and looking at all the books I've already read. I've already read 7 books in the first month and a half. Now, if you're an avid reader, maybe this does not surprise you. Maybe that's just like easy for you. But I have maybe read 2 books in a year the past few years, 3 books in a year. And I've now read 7 in a month and a half. That's over half of my goal for the whole year in just the first month and a half. And I wanted to talk to you guys about that because it happened really easily, actually. And I wanted to share what I did or what I focused on so that you can implement the same tools and the same components into your goals, whatever those goals may be. It could be reading or it could be something completely different. So let's talk about that. So when it comes to achieving your goals, there are 3 main components. You might want to say that there's a 4th. I'm going to include a 4th, but to me there's 3. The 3 main components for me are to have a goal, to have habits that support the goal, and to have a routine that those habits fall into. Now, the 4th component is to have a why for your goal. So I'm just putting that in there because I think that helps a lot of people. So let's talk about each of these components as an example. So for me, my goal was to read 1 book a month. Okay, that was my goal. My why was because I just feel like it's a really important thing to keep up with. It's good, it exercises your brain, it keeps you knowledgeable. It's also a thing that I used to really enjoy as a kid. And then on top of that, I guess an additional incentive is that most successful people in pretty much every industry are avid readers. They read about 4 hours per day. So for example, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, successful politicians, successful speakers. So it just seemed like an all-around good thing and something that seemed like it would be enjoyable and fun as well. So that was my why. My habit was to read 30 minutes every single day. Okay, at least 30 minutes every single day. My routine, I actually had 2. So my routine is at night, before I go to bed, I pull up my phone and I'm just like scrolling through things, right? Social media, news, whatever it is, I'm just scrolling. And that's not really something that I'm overly attached to. It's not something that really fulfills me. It's not something that gives me a restful night's sleep. It's just something that I do out of habit. So I basically traded one device, my phone, for another device, which was my husband's old Kindle. Before I just now got my own new Kindle, my husband's old Kindle, traded one device out for the other, and I started reading before bed instead. And so this way I was working on my goal, but it didn't disrupt any area of my life. It just fell into a natural routine. And what's really important about routines, why that's such an important component, is it doesn't require much extra of you to fulfill that habit, and you also don't forget it as often because it already falls into a natural flow that you have. So I read at night, and then also in the mornings I like to listen to inspirational content on YouTube or educational content on YouTube, and I do like that, and it's something that I incorporate now, like maybe while I'm driving. But in the morning sometimes I would get sucked into a video and it would end up taking up too much time. So I started reading educational and inspirational content like personal development or business or sales or something like that in the mornings with a timer for 30 minutes so that I don't get sucked in. And that way I was able to switch out one method, YouTube or a podcast, for reading, another method. And then I now incorporate YouTube and podcasts into my driving routine when I'm already idle anyways. So that was how I was able to read 7 books in a month and a half and do it very seamlessly. So think about your goals. What is your goal? What is your personal why? It doesn't have to be like this deep, huge why. I think sometimes people make why out to be like this really important thing that has to be an earth-shattering reason why. Like, yeah, don't overthink it is what I want to say about that. So have your goal, have your why, if that's something that you resonate with. Create a habit. How often do you want to do this thing? around when do you want to do it, for how long do you want to do it, and then build it into your routines. Start slipping it in there so that it becomes something that just happens very naturally and starts replacing older habits that maybe don't serve you with this newer habit that does serve you. And it just naturally kind of takes over and runs on autopilot for the most part. And then next thing you know, it's been a month and a half and you've read 7 books. So I hope that this helps you. I suppose, and another thing, this is not part of the 4 components, but just speaking about the 7 books. Another thing is that since I was using my husband's old Kindle, I was able to read a few different books at the same time. So I was reading 2 to 3 books at the same time. So what that means is if I'm feeling a little bit more tired, maybe I would have read a fiction book. If I was feeling more curious, I was reading a personal development book. If I was feeling more interested in learning, I was reading a more educational book, and having 3 books at the same time allowed me to kind of go back and forth between, so that if I wasn't in the mood to read one book, that didn't derail my plans. I had other ones that I was like, oh yeah, I'd be interested in reading that one instead today. And that allowed me to finish many more books and be interested and engaged every single time that I was reading. And then on top of that, having a Kindle made it really easy for me to just get new books, or for my husband to buy me new books too as little gifts. So it kept like the reading wheel going. I wasn't sitting there wondering like, okay, what do I read next? Or what should I buy next? Or, it just kind of happened. So I hope that these tips help you achieve your goals for this year, maybe sooner than you expect, and maybe even easier and more seamlessly than you thought possible before. And let me know what your goals are. Let me know how you're moving forward with your goals currently, and if you're excited about maybe using some of these very simple methods, right? Very simple methods, but the simplest stuff is really what works, right? When it becomes more complicated, we overthink it. When it's simple, we can just kind of execute and take it at face value and just do, and then reap the rewards for that. So thank you guys so much for listening. If you guys would like to have personal life coaching or psychic coaching, then reach out to me or visit my Etsy shop and we can get that started. And aside from that, I will catch you in the next one.